You got it?
Should be good. We should be live, boys and girls. All right, welcome everyone to Finding Fenn. We got ABK with us today. He's going to share his solves, his great adventures, boots on the ground, the whole nine. And that's the whole 9 clues plus more, according to ABK. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good, but it's AKB.
AKB. Look, I'm fucking shit up left and right today. Look at that. Sorry about that, man. We got Greg Allen from Treasure Seekers as well with us for some great discussion. Oh, he's going to jam the music. All right, man. Well, chat it up, man. Let's talk a little bit. What state you're from, and let's dive into this thing.
All right. Well, I'm in Kansas. Is that what you're asking?
Right.
What state I'm in? I'm in Wichita.
Right. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
You ain't too far from me then.
Wild West begins.
Wow.
Nice. Wild West.
So I guess if we're going to talk about Forrest Fenn, I guess we should start at the end. Right? What's that? Is that me or is that you?
That was me. I had to fix it. Sorry.
He's trying to get some intro music going down.
Oh, it was just it was on delay to open the chat.
Gotcha. Let me get that open too, huh?
You got to hit the mute as soon as it pops up.
All right. Yeah, mine's not showing that we're live, but that's all right.
It changed the link on us. I gotta flip it over. I'll send it to you.
Sounds good. I'll just
I
look
will
it up.
send it to you. We'll get all these wrinkles out one of these days.
Gotcha. Let me get that open too, huh? Oh, look, now I can. There we go.
Nice.
Okay. All right. So, what do you guys think? You think the treasure's still out there?
Man, I'm on the fence.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence. It's hard to say at this point. I would say that's the most likely scenario, man. Because a lot of shit don't make sense right now.
I don't know. I think Forrest Fenn.
I say he took it back, or he had somebody go get it.
Yeah. Well, he had a lot of rules, and it didn't seem like he broke those rules. And one of those rules was that, well, you should always tell the truth, but not always tell all the truth. Right?
Right.
Yeah, but then what about his rules over the years? Didn't they change?
Wow, you have to start specifically or talk specifically. I don't know what
you're
talking about.
So let's say the treasure. Do you think the treasure of what the medium showed, like the gold and stuff like that, do you think that thing was everything he said it was supposed to be?
Well, I think the stuff that Forrest Fenn put out on Doll's site, right? That was from Forrest. Okay. So you got to kind of take him at his word that it was found and the treasure isn't out there. That's what I think. The finder thing on Medium, that's a whole different thing. I don't know what that is. A lot of people are saying those are some. Well, a lot of people are saying that that those are Photoshop pictures.
Well, they are. I went through them. I went through them personally, and I know how to Photoshop. I'm great at Photoshop. I've been doing it for 20 years. Okay, so I know how to Photoshop. And what happens in Photoshop is when you take a picture, okay, and you move it to another picture or outline it, it makes a white line around it. Mm-hmm. So many things around all those pictures have a white line around them. Not all of it does, but there's a lot that does.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm willing to take your word for it that those finder pictures were Photoshopped.
And then also on the photo, you know what I mean? And this is your show, so I mean, you got to say what you got to say now. But like also when he's the scissors. Do you even see the scissors in the treasure chest next to the dragon in the bag?
No, I didn't look that close, I don't think.
But he said the scissors were in with the dragon, the bag with the dragon. And if you bring up the picture, it shows. But then all of a sudden, you have a treasure chest that has mud all over it, and a treasure chest that doesn't have mud on it. So which one was it? Did you fucking clean it then while you were walking to your car? You rent a car? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't have any
Tell
idea.
you one thing, if I took that fucking treasure chest, I'm running, dude. I'm not fucking looking back. That motherfucker is going in my car in between my legs and covered up, and I'm gone.
So that's what I'm saying. So it seems like the treasure chest ain't there no more, but that doesn't mean that this finder person had anything to do with it.
So you believe there's a finder?
I think that the chase is over, no matter, like, the following the clues, finding the treasure out there, that part's over, and we're in the end game, which is the end of the beginning of the end, I guess I'd call it.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, if Forrest Fenn says it's over and there's nothing left out there to go get, you got to kind of take him at his word. You know, he's the one that put it out there. He's the one that makes the rules, and it's his show. So if it ain't, he says it ain't out there, it ain't out there. And that's why I don't mind talking about my solve. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Because there's a lot of people out there with solves that think they're right that won't share it because they think it's still out there and they don't want to give up the goat, you know?
Are you hurt by it? Are you hurt at all or pissed off, or how you feel emotionally wise?
For me, it's a game, you know what I mean? And it's just a different part of the game now. So COVID happened, and then there's riots in the major cities, and traveling, especially for the 55 and up crowd, isn't really a good idea right about now. So the fact that it's over and most people shouldn't be out looking for it, I think is probably a good thing.
Well, we could always send the Millenniums over there. They work for free.
See, I'd still go out and go looking. I don't care. I'm not worried about.
No, it was fun. It was a great adventure.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun out there, man. Getting in all kinds of trouble.
Was it your very first treasure hunt?
This was my first treasure hunt, unless you count like Easter and stuff. You know, there's local medallion hunts and stuff for Easter around here. But
you haven't seen nothing yet. Wait till we come up with ours next year. Wait till and everybody else.
This one was just, when I started it, it was just really a way to get out of the house with my boy, because my boy turned 4 and I wanted to take him camping and show him how to do stuff. And we didn't mean to really go out and find anything. And then I just started finding stuff, and I thought, all right, I'm taking the kid home because I'm gonna push as hard as I can. This is about to get crazy. So I went out there, you know, 12-hour days, 14-hour days, sun up, sun down, just running around acting a fool. It was a lot of fun.
Did you have one solve, or did you work on multiple solves?
Before I got the book, I saw it online and I just got the poem. And I went gallivanting around in Colorado, just playing with the poem, just to see if it was a fun idea, a fun thing to go do, you know? And I got myself in a little bit of trouble jumping around the museums and stuff out there. And I want to say it's called Durango, Silvertown, running up around the mountains around there. And I didn't find anything up there. It's just
I searched a little bit out in
run.
Durango as well. Matter of fact, when I've been hunting out there since I was a kid. My dad used to take me out there and we go on hunting trips and shit. And then it was kind of cool to maybe try to piece some things together out in that area. So that was pretty neat. I like Colorado.
Fun spot. Me and my boy had a lot of fun running around, but it wasn't till I went to Montana that I started finding stuff.
Oh, nice.
That I thought was associated with the treasure hunt. And that's when things got serious real fast.
Nice. Nice. Well, tell us about it, man. You can start all the way from, you know, the beginning. Maybe you had a solve here and you worked into this, or
sure.
Lay it out for us.
Let me talk about the end real quick. What do you guys think about that? The new scrapbook. What is it? 254.
I haven't read it. I've always peeked through the scrapbooks. I wasn't big and heavy on the scrapbooks, but I hadn't even went and looked at that one with all the other stuff going on.
Yeah, well, I always thought that the scrapbooks held some kind of meaning or some kind of clues of what was going on currently in the chase. And those ones to me are interesting. Like this new one, 254, is about Forrest Fenn's notebooks, and he's showing his notebooks for his combat missions when he was a fighter pilot. So that to me is their way of saying it's time to open up and show some of the stuff that you found. And then there's a video associated with it. And that video is video from Forrest Fenn's plane, and he's dropping bombs in Vietnam, right?
Right.
So to me, that tells me that there's somebody out there who knows more than people realize, and they're silently dropping bombs in the chase community, giving away answers, and no one's paying attention. That's what it says to me.
Oh, okay.
So
I see the connection.
about clues like that in the scrapbooks.
Right, right.
What do you think, Greg? You think there's clues in them scrapbooks, or do you ignore it?
I ignore all the scrapbooks. I don't even follow. So let me back up a little bit though. I followed all the scrapbooks, you know, from when Dale started, because I've been watching it for 10 years. I didn't pull the trigger until last year. Okay, when I bought the book and everything, and finally said enough's enough. I'm going to figure this shit out, and I'm going to end this shit. But the scrapbooks, I never followed due to the fact that Forrest always said it had to come from him. He specifically said in his very first interview, don't believe anything you hear from anything else but him. And that's
well, don't the scrapbooks come from him though? He wrote them.
No, I don't believe anything Dale says because I don't trust Dale as far as I can fucking throw that fat fuck. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He photoshops everything, and he talks shit all the time. I called Dale out many times to come on the show. He's full of shit like Toby and K-Pro and Candy. They're all just full of shit. I mean, they.
Tell me how you really feel about him. Jeez.
I'm the brute of truth. I just say.
Yeah, I see that.
I'm like what do they always call me now in emails? They say who's the guy in Satellite? Who the fuck is the guy that always talks shit and has his porn shit? And Howard Stern. Everybody says I'm like a miniature Howard Stern. You never know what the fuck's going to come out my mouth. And I'm just telling you, I don't believe, like, a lot of people did follow the scrapbooks, and don't get me wrong, they could be completely right, and I'm wrong, okay? Like I always say, if I'm wrong, and I will admit I'm wrong. I will always admit if I'm wrong. It's a show. Everybody wants to understand what's going on. We're all hurt and we're all damaged by things how everything ended. And my whole philosophy of the whole thing is this fucking family is sitting here playing the game too. And they're just as much to blame.
No, I don't think that family really has nothing to do with it, to be honest. I think they're just along for the ride, trying to support their old man. He's got this game that he's doing, and it's like, I think of it as like, you ever played Dungeons and Dragons? You ever try that?
Yeah.
So I think of him as like the dungeon master, right? And he's with us in spirit, but he's also got to throw a little bit of conflict our way, so there's something to do,
Right.
And that's what I think the scrapbooks are all about. It's him updating us on what's going on and how he's seeing things going. And I've even heard tale of him throwing shout outs to people hidden in scrapbooks and stuff. And I like the idea of it. Of course, a lot of those pictures are photoshopped. I mean, but there's clues to be found, right? It's a game. So you got to have something interesting to do to keep all our attention over the years.
Right. And it was very interesting when I was sending him emails. I never got a response.
Sure.
And then the day that, it was like a week or two before he put the fucking like toes, the thumbs next to each other when I sent him the airplane. I said I found the airplane, and all of a sudden the next day he fucking sends out toe to toe, somebody's toe to toe. So I was kind of like, you know what I mean? What kind of shit you doing there? You know what I mean?
And that's the great thing though, is he's playing the game against 300,000 of us, and we're playing against one person, so he's got to keep everything general and public, and all our crap's private, and you never know if he's talking to you. It's part of the fun, right?
It was fun. It was great. Don't get me wrong. It was great. I mean, I met so many. I meet you. I've met Johnson. I've met so many people. You know what I mean? It was great. We're still talking about it. It's still a show. We still pissed. Some people are pissed. And you got to remember, I got to take in, I'm getting thousands of emails a day of people solves. and hearing how people are feeling. So when I come on the show, I just interpret like it's all that frustration of everybody, that when I'm reading everybody and how their heart felt, it's bigger than me. It has nothing to do with me. And that's what I've been telling people all over the world.
Don't sell yourself short, man. You're out here talking for people. So people who don't necessarily want to go on a show and show their face.
Right. But I want to help. I'm just trying to help.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get across is it's just a game and it's still going on because there's no concrete information. So until there is concrete information, we all get to speculate. You get to choose what you want to believe.
Correct.
It's up to you in the end because there's not enough pinpoint information. All I think for sure is that Forrest Fenn says it's over in the sense that there's not a treasure to go out there and get. It's already been got. That doesn't mean there's not answers to find. That doesn't mean there's not discussions to be had and fun to be had left over. And I think they're trying to coax us out a little bit. Show your solve, discuss it, pick who you think the finder is for yourselves if you don't like the guy on Medium.
Yeah, so I got an email on that one. When you say that, a lot of people are like, Greg, if you were the fucking solve, you would end everybody's group. You damn fucking Skippy. 24 hours, all these fucking groups would fucking close up. I'd close them all the fuck up. They go home with their fucking panties in their ass. But that's just me because I
didn't have no one to play with.
No, I'll play with later. I'll start a new one.
See, I don't think it's over in the sense that there's nothing to do. I think it's over in the sense is there's no point in going out and trying to find a treasure. But there's lots to do behind your computer, and there's lots of discussion and thought out there. And these.
How many years have you been working on that, Adam? How long have you been in the chase?
I started the chase around 2016, summer 2016.
So
what's
4
that?
years.
4 or 5 years, depending on how you count.
Right.
So
nice.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
But how do you feel though at the end? At the end, do you feel like you want something new to come out, like a new treasure hunt?
Well, I'm torn because I don't necessarily feel it's 100% over. So I can't even wrap my mind around that the end has happened yet. I think it's just the beginning of the end.
When that's
You know what I mean? It's just the next section.
And 50 people believe it's not over.
Yeah, I mean, it's only over in one sense. It's only over in the boots on the ground, drive around and go try and find the treasure. But there's other things out there to go find. There's parts of the chase that I think that you'll never be able to take away. They're out there for everyone to go see and to go find right now. And you can confirm that they're actually a part of the thrill of the chase and was left out there for people to follow the trail. That's what I think.
Right. And I've said this a lot. I urge people, go out there. There's so many ghost towns out, whatever state you're from. I promise you there's a ghost town. You can get into metal detecting and there's cool things out there. Just go out in the woods. There's so much cool shit out there to find.
But I would have never got out until I read this book. Even though I travel enough anyways. I travel a lot anyways. But I would have never met Joe. I would have never met Jason. I would have never met Bill. You know what I mean? I would have never met all these people and started this group, because Joe and I started our group, you know what I mean? Because we started the group with people that were kicked out of every other groups because they had something to say and nobody would listen. And I'll tell you one thing, it's fucking hard to keep all these personalities together in one group. It's not fucking easy. You think it's fucking easy? Yeah, gladly. You can help yourself. But you know what? It comes down to caring, because I do care for all these people. I really care. And it hurts me. It really does. It like teary eyes me. It really pisses me off. It hurts me. And it makes me angry sometimes. And I'm sitting here and I'm listening to these people tell me they're solved face to face. And they're hurt. And they're damaged. And
well, why aren't they reading other people's solves?
Huh?
You know what I mean? If they have full faith in their solve, right, then I think they should put their solve out for people to criticize, open it up for discussion and criticism. right?
Correct.
And everyone throw your solve out. And if you think someone else's solve is better than yours, say something about it. This is the solve that I believe in. I used to have a solve. Now I think this one's the solve. You know what I mean? And we can find our own finder throughout the community. We don't need someone else to tell us who the finder is. We can find that person ourselves. You know what I mean? All it takes is for people to open up a little bit, understand that whatever's going to happen with that treasure is going to happen. You know what I mean? Forrest Fenn said it's over. He declared it over. There's nothing out there for you to go get. You might as well open up to the community, and we'll elect our own leader. You know what I mean?
Right. You're exactly right. And then also what I get out of everything and when all the emails I get every day is when people read the book, it came to heart. It hit people in the heart. Okay. Sure. And everybody interpreted it a different way. I have yet to find one searcher that, and I've been going through my emails and I still can't get through them. I still have over 6,000 emails. I still can't catch up on. Okay. And what I'm trying to do is find those 2 searchers or 3 or 4 that have the same solve. And I can't find nobody that has the same solve, because when you read the book, it went to heart and you all have your own solves. And that's why when we formed the group, it was about your own solve, your heart, what you interpreted. And that's why when we made it, we interpreted it as it's your solve and nobody can take it away from you. It's yours.
Sure, but whoever has the right solve, whoever has that correct solve that it was supposed to be, where it leads directly to that treasure chest, that's not their solve. Those are Forrest Fenn's answers. And that's public domain. He already gave that away. You know what I mean? So if you have the correct solve, that's not your solve. You only have your own solve if you have the wrong answers. You know what I mean? If you have the
I've never
right
thought
answers,
of it like that. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Wow.
Those are Forrest Fenn's answers. Those should be shared.
Explain that again. I kind of lost.
So what I'm saying is if you were able to interpret the poem in the books and the scrapbooks and all that stuff, and you were led to that treasure chest and you found it, right? That solve is no longer your solve. Those are Forrest Fenn's answers to the thrill of the chase. They belong to Forrest. He created it, right? And he already made that public domain. That's everybody's answers. That's not one person's answers. That's one person's chest. It's one person's gold. But those answers, that's already been given away. They're in the books. They're in the poem. You know what I mean? That doesn't belong to anybody but Forrest Fenn. So if you think you have the right answer, they're the right solve, they're Forrest Fenn's answers. They're not yours. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. No one has to.
I see what you're saying. I've never thought of it like that. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And that's the way I see it. And that's why when I talk about my solve, I don't want people to go out and go looking for it because it's getting cold, and it's getting snowy, and someone's going to get hurt.
Right. We want everybody to be safe.
Exactly. So if you believe my solve, I have a little blog where I write. You can leave a comment, or you can ask a question, or whatever it is you want to do, or invite me on your YouTube show, right? Don't go looking for it. You're just going to get hurt. And if I can get enough people to believe in my solve, what I would like to do is I would like to find somebody who's already got a name, who can bring some attention to it, to the Forrest Fenn's The Thrill of the Chase, right? And maybe somebody who's a complete skeptic, like, I don't know, let's throw a random name, Barbara Anderson. She's the one that's suing, right?
Yeah.
So I would take, let's say, Katy Perry, right? And Barbara Anderson, and then somebody who just loves the thrill of the chase more than anybody else, or just like someone who's never even heard of it, and take the 3 of them out as my, my Tin Man, my Scarecrow, and my Cowardly Lion, and show them the thrill of the chase and live stream it, the whole thing, the whole course. And that's how I would want it to end.
Yeah,
That's why
what
everyone gets all the answers at the exact same time. You know, you live chase it, you put it on YouTube or, you know, a website or whatever, make it all free, no paywalls or none of that crap, and show exactly how it was supposed to work. And there's your ending. Nice big finale. You don't have to wait for Netflix. You don't have to wait for Josh Gates or whoever else to write a program about it. You know?
Right. That's what I'm doing in Santa Fe. I'm gonna just do the whole story. I'm gonna do my whole storyline, and I'm gonna walk through all of Santa Fe to show my whole finding, just my finding.
And that's great. And the reason I want to get the treasure hunting community behind it is because the more people speaking up, the more interest comes in, the more likely you're to get somebody who has the means to make something like that work, right? Because I don't know about you, but I don't have enough disposable income to go hire a celebrity and a film crew and go running around the Rocky Mountains in the dead of winter. I ain't got that kind of cash. That's what I would like out of myself. If people started believing it and I start getting a little bit of momentum behind it. You know, I hear Ashton Kutcher is a searcher. Why doesn't he speak up? Where's that guy?
Well, we made the comment. So let me tell you one thing right now. So I know Carrot Top, and I know some other famous people. Okay, I don't know if you ever watch my show. Okay, and Carrot Top came up with a great suggestion. And he came up with it, and it was some funny shit. He wouldn't come on the show because he came up with it. He says, why in the hell, if this guy hit a treasure, and he knew all these famous people like Cher and Mel Gibson and fucking everybody else, why did they not promote it? Because
I got an answer for that.
What's your answer?
Well, let me do one more scrapbook before we get to that. I want to talk to you about the squirt real fast. You remember the squirt?
Squirt? Did you say a squirt?
The squirt. Yeah, it's a scrapbook.
What's the number of the scrapbook?
I think it's just called the squirt. I don't think it's got a number.
Okay.
Squirt. That's not.
It's called the squirt, and it's about well, I got it right here. It's by Dahl on October 1st, and it's about a bunch of people going to West Yellowstone, and he talks about the sheriff and, you know, sending dust in the air and these squirts the hose at him or whatever. You guys didn't read that?
No, I didn't read it. No.
All right. Well, then this one's for everyone in the chat. You know, all three of you or whoever's out there. In one of the pictures, there's the Dude Motel, right?
I'm listening.
And the Dude Motel has a picture of a cowboy on it, right? And in the foreground, there's three kids, and they're spraying the street down with water in honor of Forrest Fenn, right? That's what it looks like. So my question to you is, if you believe there's something going on in them scrapbooks, do you think Forrest Fenn only makes historic references, or do you think it's possible that he could make a more modern reference in those scrapbooks?
Little of both.
Little both. It could be anything, right? It's most people go straight into history and they completely overlook popular culture and modern thought, as if Forrest Fenn's too old to watch movies. You know what I mean?
But then
Which I think is a little ridiculous. Now, here's what I want to propose. What if, all right, so what is a dude in terms of, you're a country boy, right? You got the cowboy's hat and all that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So what's a dude?
A dude?
Yeah.
A hair on an elephant's ass. Wasn't that the definition of a dude is a city slicker. A cowboy. Or I thought it was it's a city slicker cowboy.
Exactly.
Right?
Someone from the city who wants to come work on a ranch for the weekend or, you know, for vacation and pretend to be a cowboy for a little while. It's a city slicker, right? So you got the city slicker sign, and you got the literal city slicker kids who are standing in the street squirting the city and making it slick, right? So what that tells me is this right here. City Slickers 2. You ever watch that movie?
Legend of Curly's Gold. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What do they do in City Slickers 2?
They go to search for the gold.
They go search for the gold, and what happens?
Under Curly's
Matt in a cowboy's hat.
Right.
See how you interpret, how everybody individually interprets things from movies, from everything, from what he says in Dale's site.
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's part of the game, right? You look at what you think could be a clue and you come up with an answer, and it don't matter if it's right or wrong, really. I'm really just bringing it up to make a point.
No, it's a good point. I love the point. It's awesome. I like it.
Well, let me get to it. My point is this. City Slickers 2, they find a map in a cowboy's hat, Curly's hat, right? And then they meet Duke, Jack Palance, or Palance. Is it Palance?
Palance, I think. Palance.
Palance. They meet Duke, who's Curly's brother, and they go out on a treasure hunt. But how they treasure hunt, I think, is the real. Oh man, sorry. SpaceX just launched their rocket.
Oh, nice.
Nice. NASA.
NASA.
I'm gonna try not to look at it, but it's more interesting than I am.
Breaking news.
Anyways, so some of the clues: the hand that points the way, over the buffalo's back, under the frozen people, and I think the clue in that is that's how you do a treasure hunt. It's not figure it out at home, go to the one spot you found on a map, and you're there and you're done. And it's just, a GPS coordinates take you directly there and you find the spot and woohoo, it's over. To me, that totally discounts all of treasure hunting lore in history. You have to go out there with your boots on the ground, and that's where you solve the clues. Not at your house. That's not a treasure hunt. That's boring. It's absolutely boring. And I don't think anyone who was putting $1 million worth of gold out there for somebody to find would make a boring treasure hunt. That's what I think. I think that's the best evidence that I could possibly give is why? Why would you make it boring if you were putting 13 years into this? And you're going to put all of your imagination and all of your hard work into just concealing the one location in a bunch of clues you can figure out from your house? There's no way in my mind. And that's not how I approached it at all. How I approached it was you use the book and you use the poem and you find a starting point. And then you got to figure it out on the fly, baby. You're not figuring it out from your house. You got to go out there and you got to see things. You got to get to know the mountains. You got to see what's out there, and you got to walk a long, long ways, because you may be able to skip over the too far to walk parts when you know where you're going. But if you don't know where you're going, you're going to be checking under every log along the whole way. You know what I mean? Looking for the slightest clue. And that's what I did. And that's when I started finding things, is when I went out and I decided that the chase doesn't start until you find something of relevance in the real world that can't be moved, that anyone can go and find, and you can't destroy it. That's what I found out in the world, in the Rocky Mountains, not something from home. It was everything that I saw outside of my home that convinced me. All right.
Yeah, 100% correct. I was kind of shocked. I assumed I wasn't part of any of the YouTube communities and blogs and all of that the whole time, and I was just shocked at how many people have not been boots on the ground. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. Kind of for the reasons you're describing.
Exactly. And you got to start somewhere. So you got to start at home. You got to start with the books. You got to start with the poem. You got to figure out some place somewhere to go to start looking. But it's only to start looking. And then you got to go out and you got to see things. And you got to come home and analyze and then go back. And it's a whole lot of trial and error, and until you hit pay dirt and you find that thing that says, this was left for people looking for Forrest Fenn's treasure, 100% sure. And it tells me to do this next thing. And then you go home and you analyze it and figure out what the next thing is, and so on and so forth, until you run the whole course. And one day you know where the treasure is, and you don't even have to go out there to confirm that it's there to know that it's there, because of all the other hoops you had to jump through.
Nice.
Right? So that's where I think the chase is at now in this point. I think we're at the beginning of the end where we're all supposed to be making nice and discussing and trying to find that one person who's screaming out, I know where it is and I can prove it, right? And then we need to get behind that person and shove them into the spotlight so we can all figure out how this really ends. You know what I mean?
But the problem is there, and you're right, and I give you props on that, and I'm a true believer in that. What you're saying is completely right, okay? But the
I
problem,
smell a big butt.
there's a but, there's a but. You're gonna butt, you're gonna butt. And that's a real butt. But you're gonna butt. The problem is, if I tell you my solve, you're not gonna believe my solve.
Why not?
Because it's the way it's been going on. Is people have interpreted this book so many different ways.
Sure. But there's one way where everyone's gonna have to say, that's it. My solve was wrong, and that's the right one.
I could show you my way, and I guaranteed it's one way. How much you want to bet?
Well, I bet that you can show me your way, and I will tell you you're wrong. That's what I bet.
Right, exactly. Now I would tell you you're wrong.
And that's it. And we keep going like that, and we keep talking to more and more people until we say that's the one. That guy's got it, or that girl's got it.
Together and say, I'm the one, or you're the one.
And everyone who thinks they're the one, speak up, say something. And if you are the one, it will register with people. It'll hit their heart the same way Forrest Fenn's writing did.
Okay, so you're
That's
telling
what
me
I'm saying.
I should do what I thought about 5 months ago. I should put everything into what the pictures were, and they outlined all of Santa Fe and how everything outlined completely to the light. When he specifically said all you need was the page for the poem, correct? He said the page, correct? He said
Well,
page.
I don't know if I agree with that. All you need is the poem. I think all you need is the poem if you know where you're going, but to know where you're going, you need the book.
On the poem, if you take a light and you put a light behind the poem,
Huh?
shows the destination of where that treasure chest was.
Well, a flashlight behind the page in The Thrill of the Chase, the book?
Correct.
All right, I'm gonna go get a flashlight. Hold on.
You go get a page.
Wait a minute.
Okay, we're gonna have some fun here, but you know I still gotta go here, and I got an hour.
Right.
Hey, this is fun, dude. Come
Yeah.
on.
All right, brother, I got a flashlight and I got my book.
All right, you got your book? You ready?
I'm ready. So I got to find the poem.
Let me get mine.
I got the poem and I put a flashlight behind it.
I got it on the very first page.
All I see are the words from the other page backwards and then the gold coins at the bottom.
Okay,
Did you rip it out of the book, Greg?
I got my page. I got my book in single pages, dude. I ripped them all out.
I got my book like this. So I mean, I don't see where's the spot. Where is it?
All right. You see that gold coin right there? That gold coin right there at the bottom left.
Yeah.
Put a flashlight through it.
All right. All right. I see the coin.
Six, and do you see? Okay, you see the coin. You see her looking down, right? And you see that little speck, that little dot. You see? Take the camera. Take the flashlight away for a second so you can see.
All right.
So you see that little dot. That little dot.
This is dark coin right here, right?
Uh,
She's looking down. It's Queen Elizabeth II.
Correct. She's looking down. Look down.
I don't see a spot.
You don't see that? You don't see that little white dot on her, below her, looking down?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see her. I got you. I'm tracking.
That's where the treasure chest is.
Well, I mean, on her chest. So you got to what? Dig up Queen Elizabeth and
Well,
look at
no,
her
take the
chest?
flashlight. Take the flashlight. Put it behind.
I'm doing it.
And what do you see?
I see that white dot shining through. I also see a white dot on her forehead. It says Elizabeth II backwards on the top.
I love when we get to debate. I love it.
Now I just feel like you're messing with me. What am I
No,
supposed
no,
to
I'm
do?
going to show you. I got to put up Google Map to show you exactly where the location
Oh,
is.
you got to transcribe it to a map.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at the stupid page like I'm about to find the Holy Grail, and you're telling
No, watch,
no
watch.
map.
Hey, so when you're putting the flashlight up to it, what's it show you?
It shows me the outline of the coin. It shows me the coin, but mirrored in
No,
reverse.
pull it back a little bit. It's 3D. It's all 3D. Everything
Oh,
is
it's
3D on
3D.
that coin. It's
I
3D.
got you.
It's 3D. It comes out at you.
Comes out at me.
Yeah, it'll come at you. Look at it and keep looking at it because he knew what he was doing when he was manipulating pictures.
All right. So I'm looking at it sideways now.
Not sideways. I didn't say sideways. I said
So
just
dead on. Dead on like this. He's looking at me. You're like an ass. I'll tell you that.
Do it the other way.
Oh, just give me the answer already. What are you doing to me?
Hey, no, turn it around. Don't look at it from that way. Look at it from the other way, from the poem to the coin.
Okay. Okay. So
Last
shut it
week
like
he had
this
me
way.
reading the book like I was in 5th grade, right in front of the class or something.
So all right. So I'm going this way now.
Yeah,
I'm
go
looking
that
directly
way.
at the coin. She's looking down at my chest now.
Okay, now do you see the 6 and you see an arch? You see an arch? It's like a circle of an arch.
Circle of an arch.
Well, I can't explain it. It's hard to fucking explain. It looks like a 6. And then
Okay.
it looks like-
I'll
you
take
see-
your word for it, man. You tell me there's a 6.
Oh,
There's a 6.
oh my God. Well, you can't take my word for it if you don't see it.
Well, I mean, I assume you're driving to a point, right? The end point might help me see it. What's the end point?
That's why I'm going to take it right now.
Oh, okay.
We'll go satellite. Man, here we go. Ready?
I see your eyes lighting up. Something special's about to happen.
I told you. Hanging figures. I'm gonna close that.
All right. While you're messing around with that, I'll just keep talking until
Yeah.
you're
All
done.
right.
You holler at me when you got it set.
You keep talking. I'll get it set for you.
All right. So I'll talk about the squirt, talking about Legend of Curly's Gold, following clues with boots on the ground, finding stuff, right? That's how I think you
Right.
got to do it. And that's what I did. And I went out and I found stuff, right? And the way I started was with those double omegas, since we're talking about that book, right? On the back page on the colophon where the double omegas are. And we all know, I'm just rehashing old stuff now. We all know it's the 24th letter of the Greek alphabet.
Right.
And it's the end. And the way I always heard it was the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end, right? So now we got two omegas. So
Right.
the end is at the beginning, or the beginning of the end, or the end is just the beginning. It's the spirit of the thing that makes sense, not the direct words. You can line them words up however you want, but it's pretty much, it kind of explains what we're into right now, the beginning of the end, right? Omega, omega. So that's when I started thinking about it, is that maybe the end's at the beginning is the end, and things started clicking for me. So if you look at the dust jacket, right? So just take your dust jacket. I'll grab mine right here, and you take it off your book. You notice a bunch of things, right? First off, it's plastic for some reason, I guess, just to be extravagant, right? Is what we're led to believe, is he's an extravagant guy and he had a bunch of money to burn and he just wanted us to have a nice book, right? And on it are three pictures and then those gold coins, one of which being Queen Elizabeth, that is causing so much controversy at the moment, right?
At the moment, right?
At the moment.
And and so what we got here is we've got 3 old pictures in a new format, right? And what does the poem say? Hint of riches, new and old. So he already gave us a hint. Our hint is new and old,
Okay.
right? So whatever we're looking for needs to be both new and old at the same time. Like this dust jacket with the new and the old. He's got the old art with the old photographs on it. And then he's got this new art with the coins, which is called parallax art, right?
Okay.
And it's exactly what Greg's talking about, is it makes it look 3D. It's a parallax. It's a parallax distortion, right? So to me, when I was looking at this dust jacket, I was thinking there has to be more to this dust jacket than just to protect the book, because it's too durable, you know, it's too lasting for it to just be a book protector. There's got to be more that you can do with this. And I don't know about you guys, but I grew up poor. And when you grow up poor, you got to use everything you've got because you can't buy nothing else, right? So this dust jacket has to have more to it. So I started with these 4 stories. And the 4 stories on the dust jacket are Looking for Lewis and Clark, Flywater, My War for Me, and Golden Moor, right? And Golden Moor being the one that has the poem in it, right? So I started exactly where you would expect to start if you were a dummy like me, right? I was flipping through the book, looking at the pictures, thinking, what the hell am I looking for? And then I came across a chapter that said, Looking for Lewis and Clark. And I thought, well, that must be what I'm looking for, because that's what I was thinking. And there's an answer right there. It's low-hanging fruit. So I dove into looking through for Lewis and Clark first, right? And let me get my notes here. So I think that that's a great place to start, only if you think Forrest Fenn wants us to find his treasure. If you think he's trying to hide it, you probably shouldn't start there, because it's like he's giving you the answer. You know what I mean? Like trying to get you started, like he's trying to jumpstart your mindset. He's trying to get you going, right? And inside the first paragraph of that story, he references Osborne Russell and the core of discovery, which is Lewis and Clark, right? So what I did, I put the book aside. I went to the library, because that's what Hermione Granger always does, right? She seems pretty smart. So I went to the library and I got a copy of Osborne's Russell's travels. The what is it? Journal of a Trapper.
Journal.
Right?
Yeah.
Now I bought a copy of that book too. I got it here somewhere. I bought this copy right here, this big old thing, because I thought it'd be easier to read. And there ain't no pictures in it. And I don't know about you, but I'm not one for reading whole books with no pictures, because I just get confused and honestly, it's boring. You know, it's boring as hell.
Can I ask you one question though?
Yeah.
When Skippy left him on the side of the road.
Yeah, long ride home, right?
Right, long, and he was walking on cement. He wasn't walking on gravel or dirt.
Sure.
Cement. And then sometimes he said, I have to, what did he say? I have to sometimes
slam the door on a relationship and start over.
Start over again. But he was walking on cement. So there was nothing mentioned about gravel at that time to start over. So that means he started on cement, correct?
I don't know, man. I don't think there was a whole lot of paved roads back when Forrest Fenn was a kid. Isn't he like 112 or something?
Well, no, but I'm just trying to, you know what I mean? How I'm looking at it.
Oh, yeah, okay, I got you. That's part of your solve.
Yeah, so like when you say, so that gold coin is right here. There's your 6. There's a location right there. That's his location. That's where it was hidden. Right there. See the X?
So right in the middle of public view and everything, huh?
Well, most people walk through this, but will not step over here, which is 200 feet from the destination, which over here had the house and a porch all in the pictures. Right here.
Santa Fe?
And they just cleared this out last year. This whole section right here, you see my mouse?
Yeah.
They just cleared it out from the picture that shows.
And you think the people that cleared it out find the chest or found the chest?
And here, there's a camera. There's a camera. Remember, he always said he would know if somebody found it. There's a
Mhm.
camera sitting here this whole time. 200 feet. If somebody walked from here going across this road, because there's an in and an out, okay? Because he always said you could go in the back way or the front way, correct? 200 feet goes from that destination.
All right.
Canopy of stars. All the kids write on here. There's stars everywhere. That thing right there is a canopy of stars of where kids write and tell their stories. It's a circular thing. In here, if you won't see it, there's torches going all the way down. They call it the Paradise Garden.
Paradise Gardens.
And then also, like I said, it's on the back of the coin. Look at the back of the coin. It'll show the destination right here.
How do you justify the not near human trail?
No, that's not a human trail. You have to get off the trail. You
Yeah,
have to walk over there. You have to
those are
walk it
pretty
all
near.
over there.
all right.
You have to
Hey, man,
stop. the
it's
car.
a good solve, man. Don't let me stop you. You know what I mean? Like,
And then also, remember, well, no, I'm just, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, remember when he said he had to bribe 2 Mexicans?
sure, yeah.
Well, what's this word mean right here? That's a
Alameda,
Mexican word.
sure. It's a town in California too.
I gotta love people that they come together. I'm trying to make it come together. Do you see what I'm getting at?
I see what you're saying. It's just
Okay, so
when I go through a solve, I have to know it from the beginning.
okay,
to the
well, the
end.
beginning would be right here, Canyon Road. He never said canyon was a real canyon. He never
Sure.
said animals were real.
And so
Okay.
where's Warm Water Halt?
Warm Water's Hole is Santa Fe River. This whole thing is Santa Fe River right here.
Okay, and so you start at the Santa Fe River, get on Canyon Road to the Paradise Gardens and Bob's your uncle.
As I go in the canyon, you know what I mean, too far to walk. But look,
Okay.
this is a helicopter. Whole outline's a helicopter right here. And look, his father's tie's right here. That's his tie. But he always shows the tie in every picture. And look, if you want to even get technical, here's a bee right here. Compound. You got everything. Morning Star. Mark. And then you got the guy that saved his life, which is John. Not John. What's his name? Shit. Was it Mark? Robert. Sorry, right there's Robert. Saved his life in the helicopter.
Okay.
That's, you know what I mean? That's just me. And then if you
That's
want to
great.
do the Omega, the Omega starts here and ends over here to the far right. And then if you really want to get technical, remember when he's laying on the horse?
Sure. Yeah.
Right here outlines the whole horse, his whole figure. Right here, look. This whole street outlines him laying on the horse. Look at it and turn the page upside down. Remember how he said sometimes you have to put it in the mirror and reverse it too?
Sure. Yeah.
That's him right there laying on the horse right there. And
All
then you technically, if you look at him laying on the horse right here, remember there's 2 horses. There's one on one page and one on the back of that page. Remember?
Yeah.
That horse is down here by T when he had coffee with his neighbor.
All
It's
right.
right here. See, that's just me. You know what I mean? Because everything just fell in line so perfectly. I was just like, when I read it all, just
It's
like
a good
you.
solve, man. It's a good solve, but it's one of those solves that you figure it out sitting on your butt, staring at a computer. And I have a hard time getting behind a solve that goes from start to finish on the computer like that. I think that there's
Well, I
things
went
out
there.
there that
I
you
went
have to
there.
find.
I went there.
Well, yeah, I know you went there. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure you went there. If you thought you knew where the treasure, why wouldn't you go there? You know what I mean? But
Because
you came up with everything right here on the computer, and then you went out there and there was nothing left to find because you already found it all on the computer. You see what I'm saying?
Well, no, I didn't find. I found most of all this, like the whole outline, but I didn't find this until I was out there and I was doing the flashlight through the back, and then I
Sure.
was doing, and I didn't find it through Google. I threw what's the other software you use? What is the other one I'm thinking of? Not Google. What's the other one? Like Elevation.
I use
stuff
maps.
like Elevation. What do they call the maps? Elevation.
Topographical.
Yeah, yeah. I only found this spot through that geographical map right here.
Uh-huh.
When that coin was looking down, when she was looking down, I only found that spot through the geographical, and I found this spot and that spot through the geographical, and then lining up the rest to over here.
Now,
So-
Adam, did you use any maps? So did you use any
Yeah.
Google or any topographical maps? Or
Well, I use as
anything
many
like
maps
that?
as I could get my hand on, and one of them being one of Osborne Russell's hand-drawn maps.
Hand drawn.
Right.
Okay.
Because the book I bought didn't have any maps in it, and the one I got at the library had hand-drawn maps in it.
Now, is that inside the Journal Trapper? I didn't ever get
Yeah.
that book. I wanted to, and I don't know why I never got that book.
You
Nice.
see that map there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
see
a
it.
cool map. I seen it. Yeah, that's a cool map.
Yeah, so that's plate 3 of Osborne Russell's travels, and this is the map of him outlining when he ran away from the Blackfoot Indians, right?
Nice. Right.
And when you look at that map, you see the burnt hole that he's talking about, and he goes up the Stinking Creek, and then he goes down the Beaver Head. But what interested me the most is what's not on that map. So what Osborne Russell left off is the Big Hole River. He left it off completely.
Why?
I don't know why. Maybe he's dumb, or maybe he just didn't go up that far north. You know, I don't have any. Maybe he just forgot, for all I know. You know, but there's more to that map, right? So the big hole's missing completely, and he brings it all the way up through the Jefferson Canyon. He gets the Madison on there, he gets the Gallatin on there, and then the mighty Missouri goes north, right? And it's at that spot where, if you keep following the thrill of the chase, he starts talking about the Corps of Discovery, right? Lewis and Clark. So then you start researching Lewis and Clark, and he says they were just a few miles north. Well, the Lewis and Clark Corps of Discovery, where does their travels really start, that you think? Where does it really begin? Does it begin way back east? You know, in, I don't know, where'd they hang out? Let's just say Boston.
Yeah, that's a good question. Or did it really begin when they come out west and it was all new territory?
And that's what I think. I think it begins in one very specific place, which is the confluence at Three Forks, right? Where the Jefferson, the Madison, the Gallatin turn into the Missouri, because that's the point where
Nice.
they really started exploring. People had already
Right.
been coming up that far, and
That's
only the
pretty good.
trappers had been past that. So that's where their discovery really started. That's where they really started to explore, you know, is the Louisiana Purchase a good purchase or not, right?
Right.
And
So
when
what
you
state-
research
what state
Lewis,
are you in? What state are you in?
that's in Montana, Three Forks, Montana.
So that's
Big
your
Fork.
finding in Montana?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you look at Lewis and Clark, right, and you look at their maps, they start, in my version, they start at Three Forks and they start working their way down, right? And there's one thing that's always left off on their maps as well, because if you look at their maps, here's one of Lewis and Clark's maps of their travels, and they come down and it shows that they follow the Beaver Head and where they get to Beaver Head Rock and all that stuff, because they're looking for the natives because they're running out of stuff. But what happened just before that is that one of them, I think it was, let's just say it was Lewis. I don't remember if that's right or not. He's scouting ahead, and then Clark's in the back with the rest of the guys in the gear, and they're coming up the river, right? And they come to the Three Forks, or they come to the Three Forks on the Jefferson, because they follow the Jefferson down, and then there's the Big Hole, and then there's the what is that going down there? The Beaver Head, and then the Stinking Water, right? There's a Three Forks after Three Forks, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, Joe would know more about that than me.
And so I have it right here on the map of Montana. I'll show you in a minute. And so what happens is Homeboy's scouting it out, right? And he leaves a note and says, hey, follow this river. Don't go down that one. Don't go down the big hole because that's not the route we're taking. And he takes that note and he leaves it on a log for them to find, because they've done that a bunch of times before, right? But a beaver comes along and snatches that log up and steals the note, and they accidentally go down the big hole and get themselves in a bunch of trouble. They overturn a boat, they lose a bunch of supplies, and then they have to backtrack to get back on track. But that's always left out on these Lewis and Clark maps. They never show them on the maps going down the Big Hole River. So now there's two maps referring to the thrill of the chase that both leave off the Big Hole River, right? That's what I'm driving at. So you've got Osborne Russell and Lewis and Clark both having been to this spot, always leaving off the Big Hole River. Now you look at Forrest Fenn's map in Too Far to Walk, right? Let me grab that.
It's interesting. I like that.
And check this out. You got Forrest Fenn's map from Too Far to Walk, right? And when you're looking in that same area, you'll see the Madison. Now look how far the Madison goes north. I'm not going to show you. You guys got the book, right? You have a copy of this book?
Yeah.
I do. I don't have it on me, but yeah.
You just take my word for it. Madison is it's marked way up north, way up here by Helena. And that's the mighty Missouri. The Madison does not extend that far north.
Right.
So now there's an error right here on Forrest Fenn's map, glaring you right in the face. Big old Madison that shouldn't be there. That should be the Missouri, and the Madison's farther south, right?
Where's the big star, though? Is there a star on that map?
A star? I don't know, probably. Well, what about stars? Yeah, there's a star on Helena to mark the capital, I'm assuming.
Capital,
right? Capital?
No, I never read that book. And just to throw the chase is what I read.
Yeah, there's a star at Helena. It's the only star that I see. Oh, no, there's one on Denver in Colorado and Santa Fe.
So 3 locations for a star.
Sure. That I can see, just glancing at it. But I want to bring attention to the Madison here, because that should be the Missouri, not the Madison. And a map maker would know that, right? And you would assume Forrest Fenn would know that, having hung out on that river and fished those rivers so often, right? So now you got all these aberrations popping up all along the same spot, right? And so if the end's at the beginning, the beginning's at the end, and blah, 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 all that stuff, all those maps, they all converge in one spot. So you start reading looking for Lewis and Clark, and you start learning about going up Red Canyon, you learn about Osborne Russell, you learn about Lewis and Clark, and it seems to me that all these stories converge at one point on the map. And that point to me is Twin Bridges, Montana, right? Because Twin Bridges is where you get the Big Hole feeding off to the west. You got the Ruby going off to the east, and you got the Beaverhead going south, right? Which used to be the Wise River. This is what Lewis and Clark named it,
right?
Wise, Philanthropy, and Philosophy, correct? And
right.
The Ruby is what Osborne Russell called Stinkwater River, or Stinkwater Creek, Stinking Creek, whatever the hell he called it, right? So to me, that's where all of that converges, right there at Twin Bridges, Montana. All these aberrations, all these stories, multiple sources, multiple things to research, all coming to a head in one spot. And so for me, that's where I started, right? Because of you look at the 2 omega signs, they look like 2 bridges, right? It's an omega,
okay.
It's like a horseshoe, could be a bridge, twin bridges, right? So now I'm still looking for Lewis and Clark in the book, right? And you look at them pictures, and the first one you see is Forrest Fenn sitting on that horse, and you're looking for a blaze, right? And what's on the horse's face is a big white arrow pointing down. And the one directly below it is the one he was talking about, is Forrest Fenn riding the horse backwards, sleeping on the horse. And it kind of looks like you're bridging the gap between man and beast. There's a bridge right behind him in the background, right? So it all to me says Twin Bridges. Twin Bridges, Montana is the place to start, right?
Nice.
And I'm not saying that's where Warm Waters halt.
Right.
I'm saying Twin Bridges is where you should start researching and start figuring some stuff out, right? Now, once I found that, I thought, all right, I need to start taking this a little more seriously, and I need to take a better look at the poem itself. I need to organize it so I know what I'm talking about. Now, you being a country boy, you ever have to stop and ask for directions?
Not around here, no. Not in the country.
What about driving through Texas or something? You know, you ever have to stop and ask an old timer where the hell you were?
Oh yeah.
So it always happens the same way, right? You ask them where to go, and the first thing that pops into their head is a little bit of foreshadowing. It's, oh yeah, I remember that's the old, you know, James place or the Robertsons place. Used to have a pink mailbox out front. And you get this whole backstory, and you don't get any directions, right?
Right.
Then you get the directions, and it's always the same way. Go up on down yonder until you get to the, you know, the turn left at the red or the old oak tree with the yellow ribbon tied around it. If you get to the gas station, you've gone too far, go ahead and turn around, head back, and now it's on your right hand side at that
Correct.
oak tree, right?
Yeah, I'm tracking.
Then you go down, and then at the end they want to tell you the story of what's happening in that place now. So there's always some reflection. Now they want to talk to you about, oh yeah, when I was a kid, I went fishing down there, and we'd always stop. And then you got to be polite, so you got to sit there and you got to wait for all that stuff. And then they give you the last clue, right? So what you want to do is park in that driveway on the left as soon as you get and see the maple, right? That's how it happens with every old man that gives directions. And I'm saying that this poem is no different. This poem is simply an old man telling you how to get from where you are to where you want to go. And that's why it's organized the way it is. So you start with, as I have gone alone in there with, you know, I'm not going to recite it all. I'm sure everyone has memorized, right?
Oh yeah.
So that first stanza is foreshadowing, right? It's him saying, hey, I went there by myself. My treasures are bold. Everything I'm hiding, it's going to be in bold. It's going to be in your face. It's going to be hiding in plain sight. I can keep the secret where. So every secret is a where. It's where you're going. Where's this? Where's that? That's the secret where. And then he gives you a hint right after. Hint of riches, new and old. So what you need to find are the things that are both new and old at the same time, like that dust jacket and them pictures and the art, right? A dust jacket isn't a new thing. It's a very old way of protecting a book, right? But the things that are on it are new, and the material it's made out of it is new, right? And it's got this plastic feeling to it, right? So then you go on, and then you start getting your 9 clues. Everyone knows where Warm Waters halts the first clue, and we don't dispute that anymore, right? Because Forrest Fenn said so, right? And we all take that for granted now. Is that true?
That's true.
You guys watching the chat?
A little bit.
I gotta get off, so I gotta start my show.
Okay. Hey, email me. You hadn't emailed me yet there, Greg. Email me and I'll catch up with you after a bit.
You guys want to come on later after you're done? Tell yourself. I like everything you're saying. I love it. I love it.
All right, man. Thanks.
I want to hear more. I want to hear more.
Well, I can't keep my mouth shut, so you'll hear plenty.
Send me an email, Greg.
All right. You guys take care. It was nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
All right.
All right, so we got that foreshadowing out of the way, right?
Right.
Now we get our 9 clues. Warm Waters halt, canyon down, and it's the same way, right? You want to go down that canyon. It's far, but it's not too far, but you don't want to walk, right? It's the same way that old timers tell you in Texas, in the Carolinas and Mississippi. It's the same story. It's just a different accent. You know what I mean?
Right.
And put in below the home of Brown. This is where it starts to get a little tricky by my estimation, right? Because if you're going to do a put in, right, the home of Brown now becomes your limit line. That's the place where if you find it, you've gone too far and need to turn around. You're supposed to put in before the home of Brown, below the home of Brown, right? And then from there, it's no place for the meek. So from the put in, it's no place for the meek. And those work in conjunction to tell me that you're about to go through a change of direction, right? You're headed down this way, down the canyon. You find that put in. If you get here, you get too far. Now you got to go this way. And you'll know which way to go because you'll look at it and go, oh, crap, really? I got to go there? You know, there's no place for the meek. You're like, oh, my God, I thought this was going to be easy. And it's not. It's really, really hard. And so then you go on, right? No paddle up at creek, heavy loads and water high. If you've been wise and found the blaze, so now you know you're looking for something, right? You've been wise,
Right.
you found the blaze. So this is after you've already found the blaze, because it's past tense now, right? If you've been wise, you should have already been wise. So whatever you were supposed to do, you need to do it back here when the end's drawing nigh, not down here at the blaze, right? Now you're at the blaze. Now you look quickly down and you're done, and you need to figure out what the hell it is you got to do next, right? And then he
Right.
goes into the reflection, right? He starts reflecting. Why is it that I must go and leave my trove, right? And the answers he already knows. So you should already know those answers too at this point, because you're at the blaze. And now you don't know what to do. So now he gives you the final hints. He gives you that end part, where to park once you get to that driveway, right? You park on the left of the maple, or do you go to the right because it floods on the left-hand side? Or there's too many rats by the barn. Don't park by the barn. They'll eat up the wires in your car, right? So hear me all and listen good. Your effort will be worth the cold. That's a big clue in my opinion. And the cold, if I had to pick one word to be the word that is key, or the word that is key that he was referring to that people were picking up on, it would be cold. Cold's that
Okay.
word. All right. And if you are brave and in the wood, I give you a title to the gold. So that's how I set it up. My 9 clues go like this. You know, I'll put it up over here. Bam. I don't know if you can see it, but I can read it, right? It starts over here at the Warm Waters Halt, and then your second clue would be the canyon down, and then you end up screwing it up inevitably. So your third clue is going to be the home of Brown, and that's where you got to turn around, right? And then you find out where no place for the meek is, and where that change of direction happens, that's where the put-in is. So that's, now you know this is the put-in. I don't ever have to walk that stupid canyon again. I can start right here. It's like a save point in a video game, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then you go up to look for the blaze. And while you're looking for the blaze, you got to listen good. Remember that your effort will be worth the cold. And then you got to remember, you got to be brave and in the wood. And that's how you get the title to the gold. And those are my 9 clues in that order, right? And I got them all color coded to make things easier. And that's why I call my solve the rainbow solve. All right. Because it's
Okay.
just the same as that kid's song, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Right. That gets you 6. And then black, gray, and white for the end. Right. That gets you all the colors there. All right. So that's
Nice.
how I organize mine. And it goes through 9 solves. Right. I got a project red, project orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, black, gray, and white. And that is why I believe Fenn said he hid the treasure when he was either 79 or 80, because by 81, you have the treasure in your hands. So those were the last 2 clues he had to go through to hide the dang thing, because by 81, it's yours. Tracking?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's how I set mine up. And you've got to fill all these boxes in, and you got to start at 1 and get all the way to 81. And you have to find things that were left out there for you to find that marks the way, like the hand that points the way, over the buffalo's back, under the frozen people, right? You have to find those things. You have to see them, right? And when you
Right.
get to the title to the gold, you should know beyond a shadow of a doubt, hopefully, that you found the right spot. There shouldn't be, there's always room for doubt, right? Especially
Yeah.
with something as mysterious as a treasure hunt. But you should know beyond a reasonable doubt that you're on to something, because there are
Right.
things out there to see and find that point the way, like the hand that points the way.
Like you said, you'll be able to move with confidence.
Exactly. You'll be able to move with confidence. You won't be 100% certain, because no one knows what that crazy old man did out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he had to have hidden things in plain sight. That's the only way you can conceal something like this, is you got to hide it in plain sight. There's not a whole lot. I don't know if there's a lot of people that go out there running around in the woods, but there's not a whole lot out there. It's trees and grass and shrubs. You know what I mean?
Right. And you hear him talk about how his family used to go out to Yellowstone and they would leave their stuff out there and they would hide it in plain
Right.
sight. They would secret it and come back and nobody would mess with it because whatever, they had some kind of secret way of putting things out there where it's in plain sight and nobody can see it.
Nobody messes with it. And it's the same. It was the same with Jesse James. It was the same with the Dalton
Yeah.
gang. It was the same with all them cowboy types. Right.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to get people on board with, is that if you're on the trail of this treasure, you're going to know it. If you think you know where that treasure chest is, you're going to know beyond a reasonable doubt, and you're going to be able to explain it to people. The question is, do you have the guts to do it? That's the real
Correct.
question, because there's a lot of people out there saying that gold's still out there. And if you spill the beans and you're wrong, and someone else skips over you and goes and claims it, where's that leave you? Right.
Right.
So there's a little bit of trust involved, not in our fellow searchers, because I mean, come on, man. You think there's not somebody out there that's gonna, if they believed you're solved, it's not gonna go check your work?
Oh yeah.
Right.
100%.
It's gonna happen. So what I'm suggesting is you have to believe Forrest Fenn at his word. He said there was a treasure out there to go get. Now he's saying it's not there to get no more. Do you believe him? And if you believed him the first time, why wouldn't you believe him the second time? Right.
Right. Yeah. You have to make
and
that
that's what I want to throw out there. And no one needs to follow my example and you know, give their solve. You know, I wouldn't look down on somebody for not revealing their solve.
Right.
Right.
Well, that'll kill
But
my
I think it goes against the spirit. Yeah.
Right.
It goes against the spirit of the whole thing, because if you're right, it's not your solve. It's Forrest Fenn's answers. That ain't your solve.
I never thought of it that way. Man, you make a hell of a point on that. I've never thought of it in that text. But yeah, you're right. It ain't your solve. It's his solve. So
It's
yeah,
his
you
solve.
have, wow.
He just left it for all of us to go find and confirm. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to try and convince, you know, the community to organize under one banner, right?
Yeah.
Unite the tribes.
Unite the tribes.
And let's put some fire back into the searching community, maybe draw some big names in, and maybe get a big reveal out of this once we elect somebody who we think is the actual finder.
Gotcha.
Right? And then once we do that, we put them into the spotlight. Who knows what could happen after that? It could get huge. There could be a second chase. We might inspire a couple other people with more money than sense to go hide some stuff out in the woods. You know?
Right.
You go find the Batmobile in a cave one day because Michael Keaton decided he didn't want it no more. You know?
Right.
So that's what I want to do. That's where I'm going with all of this. And mine's called The Rainbow Solve. You can read it. It's not all the way complete yet because it's, like I said, it's really, really long.
And you have all this out on a blog now, correct?
I've been giving away answers for years. There's not one answer that I haven't already given away to somebody. All right. And it's hard to get people interested in your solve when they're so focused on their solve, right? Just like it's hard to get me interested in Greg's solve about helicopters in the middle of town when I'm trying to talk about, you know, maps. And I get that. It's hard to let go of your own thing.
Right.
But somebody out there has some answers. I think scrapbook 254 was to inform us that someone's out there giving their solve away, dropping bombs. Could be me, could be you, could be anyone who wants to come on your show. Right. And we need to all look at everybody else's solve and being big enough to admit if you're wrong, maybe help someone else out and grow this thing bigger, because that's what Forrest Fenn was all about, right? He made his millions thrusting other people into the spotlight, lifting other people up. He didn't make his million making himself famous. That was just an unintended consequence of being good at his job.
That is one thing I noticed about Fenn. He was a great storyteller, but he could make you feel good about being you, and that's what made him. And
now it's time to make him feel good about being him. Let him know that we appreciate what happened. We can work together. We can solve it together, right? And we don't have to fight about it because now the crutch is gone. That gold is gone. There's nothing left to fight over except for who's got the right answers. you know, and then everyone just needs some thick skin. So if someone says your solve sucks, that's one
Right.
person's opinion, right? You can still believe in your solve if everyone else hates it, right?
Right.
And there we go. All right, so let's go on to the next part, right? So there's
Moving on.
Well, let's call it a conspiracy, just because it's a fun word to say, about how Fenn said that all you need is the poem, copy of the book, and a good map. And a bunch of people interpreted that as you only need one map, right? You only need one map to get you through the solve from start to finish.
Correct.
Now, I'm going to agree with that. At the same time, I'm going to disagree with it, because I just showed you 3 maps. I showed you Osborne Russell's hand-drawn map. I showed you the Lewis and Clark map, and I showed you Forrest Fenn's map that he gave us in Too Far to Walk, right? So there's 3 maps already. I already can't tell you that I only used one map. Now, when I was out hiking and searching around, it turned out I only needed one map once I knew where I was going. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm saying you only need one map if you know all the answers, but you need more than one to find all the answers, right?
Okay. Right.
I use the crap out of Google Maps, I'll tell you that. I use that until my phone fell apart.
Right. I think we all have.
How do you find the map that you need? You go to the book, right? And we're still talking about looking for Lewis and Clark. And it's the same old story that everyone always says, right? When they always reference, most people reference the Gallatin map when they talk about this, when they talk about how they went up into the mountains, and they needed to start a fire, and they burned a map, and they burned the map of the Gallatin National Forest, right?
Right.
So people say that's the map that you need. And I want to argue the opposite. I want to argue that you could use the Gallatin National Forest map if you wanted to for part of it, but you don't need it. So therefore, whatever is on the Gallatin National Park map must also be on another map, at least the parts that you need, right? That's my argument. And that map is this map. The Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest Central map. All right, that's the map that I think is the only map you really need to solve the thrill of the chase. Right now, you got to use front and back, and parts of this map are on the Gallatin National Park map, but this is the only one you truly need. And I found that by studying the Looking for Lewis and Clark map. And if you go to my medium.com blog, it's AKB Treasure Hunter at medium.com, right? And maybe you could throw a link out for people or something someday.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
They can click it and look at it.
Matter of fact, I'll put it in the comment section of this video.
There you go. And I'm through a bunch of the of my solve. I think I'm just starting in writing Project Yellow, right? So I did red and orange already, and I'll try.
When was the last time you had boots on the ground? What was it? This year, last year?
I want to say it was either 2018 or 19.
Okay.
Might have been. I can't quite remember. I've been hitting the head too many times. My memory comes and goes. But I want to say it was 2019, but it could have been 2018 because, you know, life gets in the way, right? I know I didn't go out this year because of COVID and the family was scared and there was so much going on. You know, I did all my research on the computer. But
nice. Did you normally drive when you went out that way?
Yep, I drive. Sometimes I take my motorcycle just to hit cross country and have a good time on the Harley. You know,
nice.
It would have sucked if I found the treasure on the Harley though, because where are you gonna put it?
Where are you gonna put it? Saddlebag, man.
Yeah,
You
just throw everything out, throw the tent out. I don't need that anymore. Now I don't need a sleeping bag of gold to keep me warm.
Hell yeah.
All right, so there's some other things that you should know from Looking for Lewis and Clark, right? One of those things is he talks a lot about terrain features, right? And you need to study your terrain features, especially if you're going to go hiking out in the woods. You need to know hill, valley, ridge, saddle, depression, right? All those terrain features. You need to know how to use the contour lines on your map so you don't get stuck at the edge of a cliff and you can't get out, any of that kind of stuff, right? So if you don't know, for people listening, if you don't know your terrain features, you need to start studying those. And the important ones are, good way to remember is Hidden Valley Ranch salad dressing, right? It's Hill
Right.
Valley Ridge Saddle Depression. Learn your terrain features because it's a big part of identifying what's out there, right?
Right.
They all have like double meanings, like a depression. A depression is a hole in the ground, right? But a depression is also feeling blue, isn't it?
Yeah. Right.
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 And was a guy diagnosed with cancer? How is he feeling? I don't think he's on top of the world. He's probably in a depression somewhere, right?
That's right.
Those are things you got to be able to identify when you're out in the world, is identifying those terrain features. You need to be able to see them on the map as just as if you're standing out there looking at them. Right?
Exactly. I was talking to a searcher the other day, and that's what we were talking about. They were talking about going to the Google Earth, studying it for sometimes even up to a year. You know, and they thought they had this area, you know, just locked down. They know every inch of it. But when you get out there, it's totally different. You get out there, you're down in a canyon. The mountains are above you. It's not flat like it does on a Google Earth map. You know, I know you can go to 3D, but yeah, that's what they were talking about.
Yeah, no, you got to get yourself a good Forest Service map, because those cats hike out there all the time. You know what they're doing. You know, you got to learn how to read those contour lines so you don't get yourself in trouble. And when you start being able to learn how to use a map, all sorts of possibilities start opening up in the thrill of the chase. But you got to know how to read and use a map. And what do you do when you get lost? You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to be able to work a back azimuth. You know, I learned all that stuff in the Army, so it just came second nature by the time I was out on the thrill of the chase.
I was fixing to ask if you were military, just from some of the things you've thrown out there. Nice.
Yeah, I was military for years. I was a sapper in a sapper company out of California. So we would go out and drive down the roads and look for bombs and try and disarm them, and then find the bad guy that put them there.
Nice.
It was a good job, man. It was a great job.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, but it comes at a price doing jobs like that. I ended up breaking my spine and my left knee and my left hand, and it's all and then the memory problems start piling up after a while. You get your bell rung so many times, you know.
Right.
I got Troy Aikman syndrome.
So I'm assuming you deployed then, correct?
Yeah, I was in Afghanistan for a couple years. Yeah, 2 tours. Well, depends on how you count, I guess. It was like a tour and a half, because I got beat to hell and got medevaced out.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's good. You can watch it on YouTube actually, if you get curious one day. The guy's name is Sapper Zulu, and I don't know who he is for sure, but I can guess because of some of the angles of the footage, because I was out there and I know who had cameras and who didn't. So I know that fool who put it on the damn internet for everyone to see me get my ass handed to me. But
oh wow.
But it's on there. You can watch me get blown up a couple times.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's a good time. All right, back to the chase, right? So we're talking about the dust cover. Now, one of the things that I like to talk about is how do you search a rabbit hole? You ever go hunting for rabbits and looking in the rabbit holes?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the way I do it is you spot that hole you think the rabbit went down, you get your shovel out and you dig a hole. Then you stick your dumb head in the hole and you look, see if there's a rabbit in it, right? But when you're laying on the ground and you've got your head in, everything's backwards and upside down, just like Alice in Wonderland when Alice falls down the rabbit hole, right? She's in the mirror world. Everything's backwards and upside down. It's the same way when you search a rabbit hole, and I think it's the same way for the thrill of the chase, right?
Nice.
If you get down a rabbit hole, sometimes you got to look at things through a different perspective. And you got to look at things backwards and upside down. And that's what Greg was talking about, right? With the reflections, with the mirrors and all that stuff. Of course, Fenn's always hitting about mirrors. Now, one of the things that's been out there on the internet forever is the mirrored dust jacket, right?
Right.
And that's how you find Montana, because it makes the states.
Right.
And Montana's where the gold
got
is.
the gold. Right.
Not to mention he had a chapter title. What was it? Too Far to Walk, or was it the other one? And it was called Montana Golden. I don't think clues get more brazen than that. Golden Montana.
Right.
I mean,
And it's the treasure state too, correct?
it's the treasure state. And the clues don't get better than that, in my opinion. You know,
Right.
he's practically screaming at you. That's why I always said, I'm not going to tell anyone what state I look in, because I think it should be obvious. I really do. I think if he's going to chapter title things called Montana Golden, tell you to go looking for Lewis and Clark, give you all these Osborne Russell stories and all this stuff, you should know Montana's the place to be. That's what I think. That doesn't make it true, obviously, and I'm not, you know, crapping on anybody who believes anything else. But
Right. But no, this is your solve. This is what you've worked on and came up with. This is your bait.
sure. So now we really got to start looking at that dust jacket a little more closely, because I don't think that's the only thing that there is to find on that dust jacket, because of the material that it's made out of, and because of the types of art forms that's all over it, like the parallax art. There are things that I think that you can find on this that should be a little more obvious than what people talk about. And two of those things being this, you see this rock up here on the Flywater story. Let me get you on
Right.
there. Right? What do you see in that rock? Whoop. Right there next to my finger.
It's hard to see, and I don't have my book in here.
Yeah.
That's
What
the
I
one where
see,
they were at the little drainage pipe, right? That was the photograph
Yeah.
of the drainage pipe.
photograph the drain.
Actually, it ain't a drainage pipe. It's a water pipe. They used to take them long pipes and stick them in a creek or a river and get fresh water brought down to them.
Fresh water right from it. That's right.
Right.
And if you look at that, oh, look at it. I can see the delay on my screen, how blurry that was when I was trying to show you.
Right. Looks good.
Looks good. Can you see it? Anyways, behind that rock, I see a face. I see a face to the left of that rock. And on the rock, I see a guy with a gun. And he's pointing out towards the gully or the creek, right? He's drawing down on somebody. And when
Okay.
you turn that dust jacket sideways like this and take another look right above Forrest Fenn's head, there's a little log there, right? And when I look at that closely, in between the log and the top of Forrest Fenn's hat there, I see a caricature of a cowboy.
Okay.
And to me, it looks like an obvious doodle. It looks like it's probably some famous cartoon from Forrest Fenn's 1930s era or something, or the 40s, or whenever they started putting cartoons out on television, right? Or in the funny books. And It looks to me like there's a guy behind the rock that's drawing down on this guy walking up the gully. And I can't look at this without seeing it anymore. Like, it seems so apparent and obvious to me, but I never heard of anyone talking about it. I can't figure out why. And I don't know if maybe I'm crazy and it's not there, and I'm just seeing what I want to see. But I want to find where the treasure is, so I'm hoping I'm seeing what I want to see, right?
Right. I'm gonna check it out when I go back in. Yeah, I want to check that out, because I found some things, in the book that's it looks like the big picture in the book of the schoolhouse. It's got the little holes cut out, and it looks like there's cat faces, in the little cutouts up there.
Yeah.
And then I've picked up a lot of thumbs. You'll see a lot of thumbs all over the book in different places. One on the little ID badge. I don't remember the other places, but he's always talking about his thumb as well. But yeah, that was a good catch. I want to check that out.
He's always talking about that thumb. I think there's a reason for that too.
I believe there was. Yeah. Cool.
All right,
yeah,
so,
I want to hear yours.
So you got those two characters, right? One behind the rock, one on top of Forrest Fenn's head. And so where I started with this dust jacket is I applied the poem, right? And so we're looking for where warm waters halt. To me, it's that drainage pipe, right? And right now we're trying to look at the dust jacket as if it's a map, right? That's where my line of thought goes. And that drainage pipe makes a nice tight little circle on the outlet coming out there, right? Which reminds me of the circle in a compass. And not the compass, a magnetic compass, but a compass for your map, right? One of them Army issued map compasses. And it's got this hole in the middle and these crosshairs that come along so you can line up to your map, right? And so when I think about where warm waters halt, I think 32 degrees. 32 degrees, water turns into ice, right? And if you put your compass right on that hole from the pipe, and you take your straight edge, your ruler, and you mark out 32 degrees, it points right up to that sea and chase, right? For the thrill of the chase. And if
Okay.
you're looking at it in the mirror, that sea creates, because of the mirror, it creates a parallax distortion, just like the parallax art, and it makes it look a little 3D, and it starts to resemble the double omega. It looks like the double omega there, right there in your mirror, right?
Wow.
And so to me, that's where you start. You begin at where warm waters halts on that pipe, that 32 degrees goes to that sea, which becomes a double omega when you're reflecting, right? So that's where I started. And then we got the double omegas, and then you follow the poem. And I don't want to bore you with the whole thing because I got it written down on that website that you can just go and read it. And I circle all the little characters and zoom in on them so they're easier to see and all that stuff, right? But here's another thing. When you look at the byline for Forrest Fenn and you get down towards the end of the poem, your effort will be worth the cold. And when you look at that by in the mirror and you got it upside down because you're looking at everything, right? It becomes a B and an N. That Y is written a little cockeyed, and it looks like a BN, which is short for battalion, which in my summation would be Forrest Fenn's fort, right? A battalion, because it's a military term, right?
Right.
And when you end up drawing all the lines, you find the blaze being the shiny coin at the bottom, right? So you would end up drawing a line that goes off. And this is plastic, right? This is plastic. So you don't have to just look at it and imagine. You just get a dry erase marker, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Grab yourself a dry erase marker and draw right on it. And you take your straight edge and your compass. You mark off your 32 degrees just as if you were planning your route out there in the real world, right? And you draw it off through the sea. And then you take it and you draw it off to the coin for your blaze. And then you draw it off to the battalion for your effort. Right? And then Braven in the Wood would be the two guys, one behind the rock, one about to get shot. And this could be just my military mind, right? Always seeing military things. But what you end up with is a nice big F right there on the dust jacket, right? And then when you take this out into the world and you go to some of the places that I'm going to describe in a few, this starts making a whole lot more sense. And you find this by using the poem to draw this F, and you take it out to the real world while you're thinking about it. And when you're standing in certain places, it all starts to make a lot more sense. Because right now it's just gibberish that I made up and I'm trying to convince you is real, right? Look, I drew an F. It's Forrest, right? You believe me yet? Hard to believe from this point of perspective, right?
Right.
It looks like busy work, right? But I'm telling you, you go out into the world, into some of these places, and it starts making a lot more sense. But you have to hear the backstory before it, you know what I mean? Like you have to hear the backstory on how you find these things before you get out there. And then I try and explain the backstory, right?
Gotcha.
This is all the stuff that I'm doing at home before I ever left the house. And I'm wondering, hey man, this following the poem like this draws this F, but it doesn't make any sense from here. Why would I do that if it wasn't going to make sense? You know, like,
Right.
why would that? Is that just my imagination playing tricks on me, or is that something real? And that's how all of the clues start, right? You don't know if it's right or wrong from your house. You can't know from your house if any of it's right or wrong, you know?
Right. Exactly right.
And that brings me back to my point with the squirt in City Slickers too, right? You got to go where the hand that points the way, over the buffalo's back, under the frozen people. You have to marry what you see on the dust jacket and in the book and the poem to specific places where it makes sense. So you got to research everything you can from home, and then you got to go out there, right? And when
Right.
it makes sense, it makes sense. You'll know it makes sense when you see the things, right? All right, so that's that part. Now I want to talk to you about how to marry the map. So we got a little map on this dust jacket, right? Now your book, is it still in one piece?
My book, yes.
Yeah. All right. My book is not, because one of the first things that I thought to do is that this ain't just a book, right? It's a treasure map. So there's got to be some clues in it. There has to be. Otherwise, what's the purpose of the book? He just wants to tell us his life story in a memoir, that's the only way he could get someone to read it, was to pretend it had to do something with a treasure hunt. You know?
Right.
I don't believe that. Everything in this book has to do with how to find the treasure. Maybe not every specific word, but the theme of every chapter, the titles, the art, all of it is in an effort to tell you where that treasure chest is and to make it fun, not to make it easy, right?
Gotcha.
It's gotta
Yeah.
be hard or it's not worth doing. It just
Right.
simply wouldn't be worth doing if it was easy,
Correct.
right? So one of the things I suggest, and I've said this before, and I took a lot of heat for it, but I'm sticking to it. You got to cut that book apart, man. You got to cut it apart. There's a little string that runs through it. Here's mine to prove that I cut it apart, right? But I don't recommend that you cut every individual page out like Greg did. Leave it how it is. Just take the pages out, take the string out, right? And the
Okay.
reason behind that is the dust jacket. You're looking for these 4 stories, looking for Lewis and Clark, Flywater, My War for Me, and Golden Moor, right? Right here on the front, if you forget.
Right.
And when you take your book apart, you'll notice that when you go and you find them, you find Looking for Lewis and Clark real fast. I had this all in a different order earlier and I put it back the right way so I could show you. And now I'm feeling like it's going to take a bunch of time. Anyways, all right, here's my Looking for Lewis and Clark, right? So I'm going to grab every page associated with Looking for Lewis and Clark, every single one, right, from front to end. And as you do that, you naturally end up grabbing a couple of other stories. All right. So the way I do it is I fold it right back over onto itself so that Looking for Lewis and Clark is housed inside this thing. So all I do is here's Looking for Lewis and Clark, right?
Okay.
Whoop. So this is how it looks when you pull it out of the book. This is loose, the pictures are loose, and then you have the story starts here and Skippy's over there, right? When you take this leaflet out, but you don't want it to all fall apart. You want to keep them together. So I open it up to the page 56 and 57, which is the long ride home, and I fold it over, right? Now
Okay.
you've got this nice, neat little section that starts with the last page of the long ride home. You open it up and you got Looking for Lewis and Clark. You got the story of Lewis and Clark, Looking for Lewis and Clark right there. And then it starts in on the last page of the Totem Cafe caper. And then it starts My Brother Being Skippy. And then it ends with the long ride home. And that is what I call section number 1. And it naturally comes out of the book and it naturally folds to house itself, right? And then you just take your dust jacket, you open it up, and you stick it right in there. Fits beautifully, right? Because that's your first section for when you go boots on the ground.
Okay.
Right? Now you grab your next one, which is Flywater, right? Go looking for Flywater. Where's it? It's in here somewhere, right? Watch, it'll turn out that I took it out and it's in the scanner or something. All right. There it is. All right, so we got Flywater. Now you find the page Flywater and you grab every page associated with Flywater, right? And then you fold it in on itself so it all stays self-contained so you don't lose nothing. So you got fly water on the front. You got the first page of fly water now becomes the back, right? The picture of Forrest Fenn with the fish.
Right.
Inside, you got the whole fly water story, and then it goes tea with Olga, right? And then it ends with Father on the Banco, and that's it. That's section number 2. Throw it in your dust jacket, right? Now you do it 2 more times. You do it with My War for Me, and you do it with Golden War, and you end up with 4 sections of the book housed in a specific order that the book folds into naturally. You don't have to go messing around with it. Everyone will, hopefully, I don't know how many versions of the book there are out there, but this is the way I did it. It houses itself. You don't have to fuss with it. And you get stories that now when you're out there start making a whole lot more sense in a whole new different way.
Right.
When you're out in the world reading it as you go step by step through the thrill of the chase.
Wow.
That's what I'm contending. That's what I'm throwing out there for everybody.
Right. Wow.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that's
now you got a place where you can
pretty awesome.
start at Twin Bridges. You start your research, right? I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now that I believe where Warm Waters halts is Three Forks, not Twin Bridges, right? Twin
Nice.
Bridges becoming your put-in.
I was going
Right,
to ask you earlier if you thought Three Forks was.
Three Forks is
I
my Warm
I
Waters.
hit on that a few years ago, and I was looking at it real hard. I was looking at the gravelly range as I'm tired and I'm weak. You know, I'm gravelly. That's pretty cool. Your Warm Water Salt is that. That's pretty
Yep.
neat.
And it's the confluence of 3 rivers making the mighty Missouri. Just below that at Twin Bridges, you got 3 rivers again coming together to form the Jefferson, which ends up in the Missouri, right?
Right.
And now you got a nice put in. You got a great where Warm Waters halt, and you just got to start following that story, baby. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Nice.
what time is
Wow.
almost 8 o'clock? How long do you want to talk? Is there still people listening, or?
Yeah, they're still on there. We got 12. Looks like a few of them dropped off. We had 28 a while ago, but they're still out there. I don't pay that much attention to the chats like I should. Sorry about that, guys.
I'm sure they're fine with it.
But I like to try to keep it more of a. I like the chats, to talks among themselves, and I like to kind of focus on the guest and and bring all that out. And is what it is. We're just evolving.
All right, so now we've got all these elements that we got to put together, right? Let me peel out my War for Me chapter real fast, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. More and War for Me is long.
Yeah, that is a very long chapter, and I always thought there'd be a lot hidden in there. Boy, and I
believe
poured
there's
over
a
and
whole
over on
lot
that. Yeah.
All right, so now we got our 4 sections, right? And we got them in our dust jacket. Now our pages themselves, you notice when you look at them, they look like they're all creased, but they're really nice and flat and laminated and protected, right?
Right.
Which kind of makes you wonder, what's the dust jacket for if every page is waterproof? You know what I mean? This is what I think is for, right? So you stick them all in there, and now you get your map, right? You get your map and you fold it twice, making sure that the search area that you want to be in is facing out so you can look at it, right?
Okay.
You got your map, fold it once.
It's almost kind of like it's a treasure hunter's traveling pack.
Exactly.
Kind of, wow.
Exactly what's happening. It's a little treasure hunting traveling pack. Make sure I got the right side facing up. Okay. So you'll notice that when you open up your dust jacket all the way up, the size of the page is exactly the size of the map when you fold it twice. I think it's called a tabloid or something,
Okay.
right? That's the paper size. So it fits, the map fits perfectly, exact same size. Now you fold in your French fold, fold in your top French fold in your side French folds. And now you got your dust jacket, your map right on top. So if you need to reference where you are, what you're doing, you take a nice little look at your map. Underneath that are those pages, the only pages you need, I believe, when your boot's on the ground. The rest you should be able to remember, right? But those are the ones that you need to spend the most time with, is those 4 stories. Now,
Nice.
don't forget your compass. You need your compass, you need your straight edge, right? And you need your string. I don't need to point out why string is important for map reading, do I? People know that.
You might explain it to them that you know, there's some people out there that don't know, but
Don't know. All right. So let me tell you, for the people that don't know, when you have a compass like this, right? It's a military compass. I don't know if they give them out to civilians. I never cared to find out because I always had this one, right? It's got a little hole in the middle. You stick a string in there, you knot the other side, and then you can get perfect straight lines when you're doing your map reading. So use them crosshairs to line up with the map. You take your string, the string makes a natural straight line, and you can get exact azimuths. So if you get lost and you need to take a reading off a big mountain or something somewhere so you know where you are, you can use a back azimuth to pinpoint your exact location, and then you won't be lost no more, right? It's how you read a map. You need to learn it. If you're going to go out running around in the dang mountains, you need to know how to read a map. I don't know why you'd need to explain that to somebody. You need to learn how to do that.
right.
Before you leave, not while you're there. Learning on the fly, you better have a buddy with you that already knows what they're doing.
Cell phone don't work out in the mountains all the time.
That's right, man. Phone's worthless out there. What you need is a lensatic compass, right? This is mine. They look like this. It's how you take an azimuth, right? You get it all lined up. You stick it up near your eyes so you can see exactly where you're going, right? If you don't know how to use one, Google a tutorial or something, you know?
Right.
It's been ingrained in my brain for as long as I can remember anymore how to do it. Before I was in the Army, I was a wildland firefighter, and I did rope rescue, search and rescue.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
it was, it's just something that I take for granted now, that it's something that everyone can do. But apparently it's not. People get lost all the time. I've never been lost in the woods. I don't know how you get lost in the woods. I don't know how it happens. So it's just never happened to me yet. So I'll knock on wood, because it seems to happen to a lot of other people. But I mean, I go out intentionally to get lost, and it doesn't happen. I mean, there's terrain association. You got a topographical map. If you prepare a little bit and understand how your map works, you just follow the gullies, follow the cricks. I mean, you might go in a long roundabout way that you didn't mean to go, but you'll never be lost. You always find your way back out, because there's something everywhere now. Just follow the damn river. You'll find people. Right? So learn how your map works, learn how a compass works, both kinds, lensatic and your paper compass, right? Learn how a straight edge works, learn how the string works, and then you can start looking for stuff in the mountains. Before that, you ain't got a hope or a prayer. It's not going to happen. You're not going to find nothing. Right?
Good safety tip of the day, man. We appreciate that.
Right? And now you got your treasure hunting kit, right? Your compass, you know, you get yourself a nice fat binder clip, right? And it's all self-contained. You don't have to lug that big old book around no more, y'all. That's all you need.
Nice.
When you're home, you look at the other stories, analyze the other stories. When your boot's on the ground, check out these stories, right? They seem to go in order from what as near as I can figure. It holds your hand. For a long time, in fact, Forrest Fenn holds your hand and leads you in a certain direction, in my opinion. And then he lets go and you're on your own. And it starts to get a little hard and a little daunting at first. And then when you start putting everything together, it gets easier and easier until you think you know where it's at. And well, I shouldn't say that, because you always think you know where it's at until you find out it's not there, right? Why else would you hike 20 miles out somewhere? You know, it's got to be there.
It's got to be there.
And then you get there and you find another clue and it's like, ah, it wasn't there. Dang it. And that's why I'm coming out and telling you flat out, I believe there's 9 solves. You got to solve the poem 9 times. It gives you 81 hints out of those 9 clues, right? He said there was 9 clues. I believe there's 9 clues, but there's 81 hints you got to find. 81, right? That's what I'm trying to convince you, I guess, convince everybody. That's the only way it could have happened, you know? 10 years this has been going on, and everyone has a one-shot hit or miss type of solve. And I'm trying to tell you, I don't think that's how it works. I think you have to build upon your solve, and you have to find physical things in the Rocky Mountains that tell you beyond a reasonable doubt that you're on the right track. And they're like waypoints. They will point you in the right direction. And unless you can find those things, it's not just solve it from your house and go out there type of thing. And I think that's the genius behind how nobody found it yet. Now, Greg posed the question 2 hours ago. If Forrest Fenn knows all these famous people, why didn't they come out and start advertising it? Why didn't they tell people? Why didn't they use their names to help their buddy? And that is an excellent question, right? Because it would have been too easy for those people to do that. Throw it out on a Twitter or something and get the word out, but they didn't.
Right.
So why is that? I think he slow rolled it out to the public on purpose to get everyone's mind stuck in a little bit of a rut, to set up a pattern of how to solve the thrill of the chase, right? 9 clues, solve them from your house, go check. If you don't find it, it's not there, go home. And he set up that pattern over and over, and people kept going and not finding it, and going and not finding it, and going and not finding it. And no one ever thought to think, hey, maybe that's not how it works, right? And that's why I believe celebrities didn't come out to promote it, because he wanted to slow roll that pattern out so that everyone who came in fresh came in late to the game and had a lot of other people's solves to look at, and then they just immediately fell into that pattern. And that pattern is misdirection. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's not how you do a treasure hunt. Not in City Slickers 2, and not any treasure hunt I ever heard of. It's always, you got to go and find something, and that leads you to the next thing every single time, every book.
Do you believe every time he spoke or gave an interview, do you think there was maybe some kind of hint per se in any subject that he talked about?
I think anytime he was asked a question or gave out a scrapbook, it was an opportunity to give out a clue. I think you'd have to be a really patient and special kind of person to go through everything that man said over 10 years to figure out if everything he did. But I find that most of what he said had something to do with the thrill. If he was talking about the thrill of the chase and he wasn't actively talking about something else, if he was talking about the treasure hunt, then it was a clue. That's what I think. I mean, if he's talking about a friend of his and the time they went fishing, he might try and, maybe the story has something to do with it because it has something to do with his life and the way he lives, right? And
right.
Maybe an indirect clue rather than a direct clue. But yeah, I think most of everything he said, like think of Canopy of Stars, right? I didn't find this. I think it was a guy named Texas Gold, I think he calls himself. He found a quote where the Canopy of Stars quote directly refers to Three Forks, Montana.
Oh, wow.
So that'd be a pretty darn good clue, right? If Three Forks is correct, assuming.
Right.
Right. Like I said, the dude could be a city slicker, and then the kids could be a double city slicker, pointing City Slickers 2, trying to say this is how you do a treasure hunt. Figure it out, fellas, right?
Right.
Nothing I say can be confirmed, though. It's just like that F I showed you on the dust jacket. Until I show you more evidence of how that F interacts in the world, it's nothing, right? It's conjecture. And that's the other thing I want to talk about is everyone's trying to find the treasure chest using deductive reasoning. And deductive reasoning is great, but that's not where investigations start. You have to start an investigation through inductive reasoning, which is finding a bunch of examples and looking for patterns to come up with conjecture. Once you have a whole pile of conjecture, now you can start using deductive reasoning to see how all that conjecture fits into a bigger package. Then you have proof, but you have to start with conjecture. And conjecture is always hotly debated. So everyone's going to tear everyone else's conjecture apart. And I think that when it all comes down to it, every single person who ever went out looking for Forrest Fenn's treasure will be right in some way. They will be right about at least one thing. That's how big it is.
Right. Do you think the finder will ever come forward?
I don't know.
Do you think he's going to remain anonymous?
The finder could be you, and you don't know it. For all I know, it could be Greg. For all I know, Greg's got a buddy named Bill, right? Bill thinks he's the finder.
Bill, right?
Right. I don't have anything to say that that's not true. I don't see anything out there to say that the finder even knows that they are the finder. You know what I mean?
Right.
It could be a push for us to start working together and to find the finder on our own. Right. And that's why I'm trying to encourage people. If you have a solve, I don't think there's anything out there to lose. And even if someone did skip over you and go and get the treasure, you know, it was never yours to begin with, so you didn't actually lose anything. I mean, let's be real. You can't lose something that's not yours, right? Well, so if someone skips over you and snags it, that would suck, and that person's a jerk.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't mean
that's why I built this channel. I wanted people to get their solves out. I know people's been holding back for some 10 years. And I've seen they've not had any luck on some of the other channels that, that we don't want to hear it, or, whatever the reasoning is. And I think people, now that it is found over, whatever you want to call it, they want to come out and give their solve. And that's why, I built this platform for them. Come out here. No, don't worry about the chats. Don't worry about that. Just come out here and give your solve. Let's discuss it up, and let's move forward with this. And encourage you to go on more treasure.
That's how it should be. It's definitely how it should be. It was declared over. The chest is not in play. Whatever's going to happen to that gold is going to happen, and it's out of your control. It's out of everyone's control. Now we're looking to see what happened to it. Where were the answers? Can anyone even agree on what a solve should look like?
Right. I mean? Exactly right. That's my whole thing. I want to know, did I have one clue? Did I have 9 clues? No clues? That's where I'm at with it. And I feel some people are in the same boat. And then you got some people, I don't know, I think they're just pissed off because they didn't find the treasure themselves. And
I mean, what are you going to do about that? You could be mad.
Mad. Exactly right.
I would like to see people start to band together. It doesn't need to be an us versus them, and we got our solve. It could be one solve. You know what I mean? It could all be one big solve. I think everyone has some input that they can throw in. There's no one person that's going to find every hint. I don't think it's possible, unless you just waste the next 10 years of your life looking for everything and not talking about it.
Right.
I found what I believe are a whole heap of conjecture. And then I started putting those patterns together through deductive reasoning. And I believe that I came up with one pinpoint accurate spot where that treasure was. Right.
Nice.
That's what I think. And I got there in a very long roundabout way. I went the long way for sure.
Right. How about your boots on the ground? Did you find anything cool out there? Flipping over logs or
absolutely,
stuff like that?
That's part of the solve. In my belief, there are things out there to find that was put there for the purposes of the thrill of the chase. Things that can't be moved, can't be destroyed. They will be there for as long as the earth exists. And people will be able to come from far and wide and follow the thrill of the chase. Now, whether or not you have the athleticism to be able to do it all in one go is a whole nother thing. Because I think there's 3 things that you have to find that treasure. You have to have some intelligence, you have to have a whole lot of athleticism, and you got to have a whole lot of heart because it's long. And if you want to go straight to where you think the treasure chest was, it would be easy. I could tell you exactly where I think it is, and you can go from here to your house, and it would just be a nice little vacation, and you'd be bored to tears.
Right.
But if you want to run the whole course, you better start doing your cardio. You know what I mean?
Right.
Start in on that cardio, because I've run most of the course from what I believe it is, and it beat the crap out of me, and I'm pretty big, you know.
Nice.
It was hard.
Well, cool, man. I want to invite you back for some discussions for sure too, and talk about your theories on all this. You seem pretty intelligent to me on,
Thank you.
this whole thing, man. It was cool meeting you. I know a lot of people think maybe I screened some of my guests and stuff like that. That's why, you know, I didn't talk to you a whole much. You were asking questions, hey, this and this. That's why I say just come on out and we'll discuss it live. That's what I like to do.
Yeah.
Just throw it out there and get a
myself would take a long time to explain, but I think I got enough out there to maybe at least try and get people to think in a different way. Not just
right.
There are 9 clues, but there are hints everywhere. And if you can follow those clues and you know where all the little locations are, then everything Forrest Fenn says about anything makes sense about one of those locations. Then you can actually go there and you can see what he left there for you to find, that points you, the hands that point the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, nice. How about your location? You going to go back and visit it anytime soon or in the future?
Well, I want to get a little team. That's what I want to do. If I go out there, I want to go out there with some people with some know-how that can make it an event. I want to stream it on something. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a documentary. I don't want to make any money off it. I think the answers are the answers, and they're everybody's. But I want to have as much adventure as I can possibly squeeze out of this thing. I want Katy Perry to show up. I want Zach Galifianakis to show up. Shia LaBeouf, he's in good shape. Tell that cat to come out. Right. Carrot Top. Someone knows Carrot. I hang out with Carrot Top. That guy's strong as hell.
Right.
You carry me up a mountain.
Hell yeah.
Right. And I want to bring a skeptic to have somebody to say, see, I believe now. You know, I want somebody who believes wholeheartedly but never could find anything, just to film somebody go, wow. You know? Right. That's what I want to do. Otherwise, you know, I don't need another trip to the mountains, man. I got a broken back. It hurts. You know how hard it is to climb a mountain with a broken back? It's hard. Man.
I got a few little back problems. It ain't broke, but man, shit, you were getting blown to hell.
Yeah, I got beat up a little bit, you know.
Wow.
2 Purple Hearts out of it.
Oh, wow.
2 pieces of tin. Yeah. Hurts.
Boy.
Hurts every day, man. It sucks. But it was worth it. Boy. It was fun. We had a good time. I got a lot of good friends out of it, and you know, they're all pretty tough, and we carried big guns, and we thought we were invincible until we weren't.
Nice. Yeah, great brotherhood. Well, hey man, I appreciate you coming on. We'll wrap it up for tonight. I definitely want you to come back, man, 100%.
Yeah, whenever you want, man. I got lots to say, and I can never keep my mouth shut. I've been screaming all these clues out for years. I just could never get anyone to listen. All right, man. Have a good evening, and you guys tune in next time for Finding Fenn. Man, this guy right here, he's pretty good, cool cat, and we're going to meet a lot of cool people doing this. I think, you know, just keep an open mind, guys. So this is Casey Johnson, Finding Fenn. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, buddy. Take care, bud.